What's up, everyone? I'm James Lynch. This is the Fanatics View Hockey Show. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you guys have any questions, post them in the chat. I'll get to every single one of them I can. We got a lot of time. We got a lot to talk about. The voice was getting better. I know last week my voice wasn't good. Voice was getting better this week, but then you know what? I coached hockey last night and my voice is back to being subpar. So apologies for the voice. Probably going to be saying that a lot over the next bit here, just with me coaching some under 9 ball hockey for my son's team. But yeah, we got a lot to get into. We had some action last night in the playoffs. We got some action tonight. We're going to talk about that. Let me know what you think. Obviously, big game tonight here for the Dallas Stars and Colorado Avalanche. The question I put in the title of this, and it's a big game tonight. Dallas at home tonight against the Avalanche. Are the Colorado Avalanche done? One of the big stories that came out the other day was Valery Nichushkin is suspended 6 months. We believe it's drug related. He's had some substance abuse issues in the past, so he's out of the fold. And if you watch that game the other night, it looked like the Avs were pretty much done. So that's why I put this as the title of this video. Do you think the Avalanche are done? Do you think they win tonight? Do you think they can pull it off? We'll talk about that. We'll talk about last night's action as well. Very heartbreaking for me as a Canucks fan, seeing them lose the way they did last night. That was brutal. And then the Bruins winning last night as well over the Panthers. Panthers unable to close it out. So we'll talk about that. We also have the New York Rangers and Carolina Hurricanes playing tomorrow night. We'll look ahead to that, as well as the Oilers and Canucks game tomorrow. But yeah, let me know what you think of the Avalanche. Do you think they have a shot tonight? We'll start there first. But how we always start the show is we got to look what's going on in the Fanatics View channel. Of course, my guy Taylor putting up some great content here post-game. And you can see there a lot of Edmonton Oilers stuff from last night, including Rick Tocchet. Go check this out. Look at this, 10,000 views. Great stuff there from my guy Taylor. Tocchet not happy about the way the Canucks played last night. We'll get to that game in a second here, but we got stuff from the Bruins, the Panthers, lots of good stuff. And the beautiful thing about subscribing to this channel is you don't have to go to separate team channels. You can just go to one channel. My guy Taylor's got you covered for post-game coverage and pre-game coverage. It's really easy and much easier to navigate through. So make sure you check that out. And also, guys, spread the word. We're almost at 10,000 subscribers here on the channel. We want to grow it. These live shows have certainly been helping, but the big thing is just Taylor putting up a lot of pre and post game content that has really been helping out the channel. So, guys, please support it. If you have any friends that are into hockey, direct them this way. I do the live show every week, sometimes twice a week, and Taylor's been putting up content all the time. So go check that out as soon as you can. Okay, let's get into the action from last night. Let's start first with the Boston Bruins and Florida Panthers. I bet the Panthers last night, even though they were like minus 210. I thought for sure they're going to close them out. Because look, one of the things we haven't talked about since the last time we went live was Brad Marchand is out right now. Sucker punch from Sam Bennett. Listen, it should have, I mean, the reffing is, there's been a lot of weird reffing throughout this entire playoffs, but the Bruins are sort of known for doing this to other teams. It finally went back the other way. Even Don Sweeney, their GM, coming out and making a comment about the reffing and all that. Losing Marchand is a big blow to that team. Marchand has been, he's their captain. He's a leader. But the Bruins persevered last night. They ended up getting it done here. McAvoy, a goal and an assist. And you look at it there, Swayman playing a lot better here. 28 saves. They need him to be at the top of his game. When Swayman is at the top of his game, he's one of the best goaltenders in the NHL. So the Bruins get it done. And on the Panthers side of things, Reinhart with 1 goal, but not a lot from anyone else. 25 saves there from Bobrovsky. He played pretty well last night. I don't think you can put this on him. But the big thing is the Bruins getting the lead early. We've seen this in a lot of the playoff games. Look at last night with the Oilers and the Canucks. The Oilers get the first goal. There is something to that where the teams that can get the fast start, get that quick goal, they got a little bit of insurance later on in the game. So the Panthers do respond in the second. The third is deadlocked, but the Panthers not able to capitalize and tie this game up. So you see there the Bruins have life right now. But, a missed opportunity here because the Panthers were at home, right? So you got to win those home games. Certain teams play better on the road, but, you think in general, having the crowd behind you should win that game. Do I think the Bruins are going to win the series? I do not. I think them losing Marchand, and it sounds like he's going to be out for more games. I don't see him coming back. I think that's going to be too much of a blow here. I do think the Panthers will close this out, whether it is the next game or the game after. But again, they only have to win one more game and they'll win. I'll take the Panthers with that. So they're going to be playing again, I'm guessing on Friday. Let me look here. Friday. Yeah, they'll be playing on Friday night. So again, keep an eye on that series. So that's what happened in that game. Let's talk about the Canucks and the Oilers. You know what this reminded me of last night as I'm about to tell you how the game unfolded? Do you guys know, like back in the day when they used to have like that show Cops, right? And they'd always bust guys for like hooking up with a prostitute, right? The guy thinks he's hooking up with this beautiful woman and all this stuff. Then the cops come in and burst down the door. That's what that third period felt like for me with the Canucks. They get 2 quick goals. They tie the game. I'm literally thinking like, man, they're going to do it again. Just like the game last week, right? That I was at, where they came back and they won the game. I'm like, they're going to do it. This is crazy. And then Edmonton scores right after that. And it's like a pin right in the balloon. It was brutal. That sucked. That's probably one of the toughest losses I've watched as a Canucks fan in a while, just because you had that glimmer of hope that, okay, like I would have rather they lost in overtime, but for them to lose so quickly after, it was like we didn't even get to enjoy the fact that they had tied up the game late. So look, Edmonton deserved to win. They played better. They were much more physical. Calvin Pickard, again, that was a big storyline coming into this, was how is he going to play in the absence, or them taking out Stuart Skinner. But here's the key thing here, guys. Look at this, 19 saves, 21 shots for the Canucks. That's not going to win playoff games. Like, and Tocchet mentioned it after the game. And again, go watch his post-game interview here. It's 7 minutes, but he says, look, 5-6 guys, they got to step up. And I agree with him. There were a lot of players that didn't do much. Brock Besser played great. A few other guys, did their part, but Noah Juleson on that first goal, I think it was the first or second goal, where he tries to hit he hits Ekholm, and then he's out of position, and then they end up scoring. The Canucks get that penalty early on. They can't do that. They're not, for whatever reason in this series, and I know the Oilers had a good power play going in, the Canucks can't save a goal when they're on the penalty kill. It's brutal. So Canucks have got to do a better job of not taking penalties. That's killing them right now. And again, they just need to generate more offense, because look at this. If they don't have Arthur Silovs in net, who made 27 saves, this could have easily been like 5-6-3, because the Oilers pressured very well. The Canucks did not have a lot of scoring chances. Again, you look at it there, the Canucks getting 2 goals in the third, so they win the third, but ultimately it's that early goal from Edmonton, the goal in the second, that they capitalize on. Evan Bouchard played great, goal and an assist. Draisaitl was very much active. Interesting, though, Connor McDavid just 1 assist. He hasn't done a whole lot in these series, right? And they did split up the lines last night. That seemed to pay dividends for them. But Calvin Pickard, just an average goaltender, not anything spectacular. Like, Silovs was the far better goaltender last night, but saying that, the Canucks didn't really give a reason to make Pickard play quite well. So, or Pickard, I should say. So yeah, Canucks lose, tough one. They're going to be going home. They'll be playing tomorrow night, Thursday, at Rogers Arena in Vancouver. Can the Canucks capitalize on this? I have a bunch of my friends messaging me being like, the series is over, we're done. Look, I've been very concerned about the play as well here too, but to me, there's a couple reasons why I think the Canucks can still win this. Number one, I think overall they have the deeper roster. I do. Like, obviously, Draisaitl and McDavid are better than I think any player the Canucks have, but the Canucks have guys that can step up and get it done. I don't think the Oilers have that. Look at Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, what he's done. What has he done this playoff? What about Evander Kane? It's really Draisaitl, McDavid, Ekholm, Hyman. That's it. And their goaltending is an issue. It is. Even Pickard, again, we didn't really get tested last night. If Pickard does get tested, I'm taking Arthur Silovs over Pickard any day of the week. He's proven himself more. So I think the Canucks can win this, but here are some key factors here. The jersey behind me here, Elias Pettersson. It's very concerning. Someone called in on the radio this morning and they're like, did we get Huberdeau'd? Referring to Jonathan Huberdeau, who obviously signed a big contract with Calgary and has not lived up to expectations. I don't think Pettersson's like that, but it is very concerning because we've seen Pettersson have these lapses before. If you remember when he signed his contract extension on that bridge deal a couple of years ago, he played terrible. He was playing very similar to how he's playing now, but he got out of it and we saw him step it up. Are there injuries with him? Is it a mental thing? I don't know, but they need him to step up. JT Miller did not play well last night. That was probably one of his worst games. And when you got one of your best players playing one of his worst games, you're not going to win games like that. So Miller's got to step it up. I do wonder if they put Höglander back in for Linus Karlsson, who I actually think Karlsson's played quite well, but they need to switch it up. They're coming off a loss. One other thing that I haven't heard enough people talk about, and I think it was an issue last night, is missing Carson Soucy. He is one of the guys on the back end that does calm things down on the defensive side of things. They did miss him last night, of course, getting that suspension for cross-checking Connor McDavid. So I think that also played a role here. Now, one thing I wonder the Canucks maybe look at, because let's be honest, who else has been playing terrible for the Canucks this series? It's Ian Cole. And this is weird because Ian Cole is a veteran. He's won a Stanley Cup. He was a guy that was brought in to bring that leadership. He's been absolutely awful this playoffs. There's been a number of times where he has cost the Canucks goals. I do wonder if you take out Cole and you put in Noah Juleson, and then you obviously have Soucy back as well, and you switch things up a little bit that way. I wonder if they go that route and maybe look at doing something like that. Now, listen, Juleson's a bit of a liability as well, But Cole is really a liability to the point of where like a lot of goals are getting scored. So I wonder if they do look at that. Rick Tocchet's going to make some lineup changes. I don't think you'll see a goaltending change. I mean, the goaltending has not been an issue for the Canucks in the series. If anything, it's helped them. I think Arthur Seelovs has pretty much set up himself to be the backup next season. Sorry, Casey DeSmith. I mean, I think that's it for him as far as being with the Canucks because he's a UFA next year. I think Seelovs has clearly shown that he can be a starting goaltender. And I think next year, I mean, just speaking out loud, I think that you need to do a very healthy workload between Demko and Seelovs because Seelovs can play. We're seeing it here in the playoffs. He's capable of doing it. So I say you do like a 50-50 split, Demko, Seelovs, because Seelovs has the ability to win you games. And that's something I don't think DeSmith has. So yeah, we'll see how things looked on Thursday. I'm a little bit more optimistic than other people. Again, the Oilers have looked good. They've certainly looked a lot more dangerous than game one. I'd say game 3 and then this last night's game, they look very dangerous, but we'll see how it goes on Thursday. We'll see what happens. Let's get to your questions here as I'm kind of rambling on about the games last night. You see my Canes compete a reverse sweep on the Rangers. I think it's going to be tough because, again, the goaltendings have been a bit of an issue for Carolina. I think the Rangers, I think the Rangers lost that for themselves the other night. I don't think it was necessarily the Canes being the better team. The fact that the Rangers, I mean, they've lost 2 in a row, that's pretty brutal, but I think the Rangers will end up winning. I just think they're too good of a team to really blow this unless something's really off with that team. And they've got a veteran head coach in Peter Laviolette who's won a Stanley Cup before. I think he can figure out what's wrong with this team and they can put it away. And I believe their next game's at home, right? If I'm not mistaken, wasn't the last 2 in Carolina? No, the last game was at home. Damn. So never mind then. The next game will be on the road. Well, maybe that's less pressure for them. There's a loud building. Maybe them being on the road is a good thing, but I think the Rangers will eventually do it. Now, am I counting out the Canes? No, but I think if you were asking me right now who will win that series, I think it's going to be the Rangers. What do you think is up with Pettersson, and do you think they could scratch him? Tocchet hinted at a lineup changes. No, they're not going to scratch him. He's too good because you don't have guys that can even replicate what he can do. I will say, though, like it's pretty bad when a guy like Pio Suter is playing better than Pettersson. Like Suter's a good player, but Pettersson's an elite potential future, like top player in the league. I think the potential's there with Pettersson. Like he's young, but no, they're not going to scratch him. I think what they will do is they will put Höglander back in. And I think they'll take out Linus Karlsson and maybe Neil Zaman. They'll switch something up there too. But yeah, keep an eye out for that. I know Tocchet will be making some changes. I think another one you might have to do is take out Ian Cole. But again, Tocchet's got that long-standing relationship with Cole. I could see him not taking him out just due to the loyalty there, but we'll see. I plan to bet the Canes $100 to win Game 6 because I'm either going to be a winner financially or my Rangers move on. Well, I wouldn't bet that much, man. But yeah, I mean, I understand it. Don Taylor, my favorite broadcaster of all time, has a theory where he's like, look, if you want to never be disappointed as a hockey fan, bet on the other team. And then, everyone wins in the end. Either your team wins and advances or, your team moves on. I will say this. I did bet the Canucks to win the series. I said before the series started that I think the Oilers are going to win in 6. That still may end up being true. But yesterday I did bet the Canucks. So I'm kind of going against that advice. But I have a hard time. I just don't like the Oilers at all. I'll be completely honest. I've explained about this before, but I don't like them. So I don't think I could ever bet on them. But yeah, I mean, the Canucks are plus money their next game. I just bet them this morning to bounce back on Thursday, and they're at home. So I think they can do it. I thought Talk's post-game interview was very good. Way to politely call his guys to step up. He does a very good job compared to other coaches of getting the message across without being like disrespectful or causing a fuss. Like someone who does do that, maybe not so great as John Tortorella, but I mean, we love Torts. We love the fact that he's so honest. But there's players that don't like him, that hate him, right? Who's the guy? Was it Dubinsky or who's the guy that used to play for him in Columbus? And maybe, and I think it was New York as well. I think it was Brandon Dubinsky. He was like, he's not a fan. So it rubs people the wrong way. But you're right. Tocchet does a very good job of getting the message across, letting guys know, like, look, like this is unacceptable. You need to step up. And he's right. You can't just win with, I mean, that's the problem with the Oilers, right? Like they only have a couple guys that are stepping up. The difference is there's potential. I mean, we've seen Dakota Joshua step up in the Nashville series. We've seen Connor Garland. Actually, I won't even say Garland. Garland's fine. I mean, Garland's one of the few bright spots from last night, right? It's Pettersson, it's Höglander, it's Filip Hronek, I think needs to play better. I mean, this is a guy who wants $8 million a season. You're not looking like it right now in the playoffs. And Miller's got after Miller didn't play good last night, overall Miller's played good in these playoffs, but he's another guy that needs to step up in this next game for sure. So that's what I would say. What else do we got? 21 shots in a full game is just way too low. I completely agree. What's up, man? What did you take away from the Canucks-Oilers series so far? I think it's very close. I know going in, like, you got to remember this. You got to remember the optics here. And I know people are going to call me biased, whatever. I don't care. Listen, I'm not a hockey journalist. I'm a hockey creator, content creator is what I would describe myself, because I just do this live show. That's it. The Oilers were like minus 300 to win the series. It does not look like that in this series. The Oilers have won. The series is tied 2-2. If you would have told me before this series, would you take a tie 2-2 in this series? I would say absolutely. Because there were people who thought the Oilers were going to sweep the Canucks. That didn't happen. My honest thoughts are it's way closer than Nashville. I always knew we were going to beat Nashville, right? Like, Nashville just does not have that punch when it comes to like players that are like can take over a game. They just don't have that. They're a well-balanced team. They got good goaltending, but even Saros didn't play well early on, and the Canucks, that's probably some of the reasons the Canucks got some of those wins. But I feel like in this series, it's about who makes less mistakes, and the Canucks made plenty last night. So I don't know who's going to win. Like, I did bet the Canucks just because I'm a Canucks fan, but I think it's going to be close. I could see it going 7. I could see it being 1-goal games from here on out. That's the thing, is like you're not seeing like blow up games from either side. Like even the game that the Oilers lost, they still only lost by a goal the first game, I mean. So my thoughts are, the thing that's cool about this series is that I see people who I don't normally see talk about hockey talk about this series. And it's been really great, and it's been a lot of fun to see. And it's been great. And just, again, as someone who's not seen the Canucks in the playoffs that much over the last decade, it's nice to see them, be competitive in this series. Why do you not like the Bruins? Because of 2011, because I hate Brad Marchand. Now look, if Marchand was on my team, would I like him? I'm sure I would. But they play a cheap style of hockey. They constantly, I feel like in some ways, and I don't think I'm alone here saying this, I feel like what happened to Marchand was a bit of karma, because he's a guy that's done that to so many other players. He's done cheap shots and things like that. And, 2011, still fresh in my mind, we lost the Stanley Cup Finals to the Bruins. So the Bruins have annoyed a lot of teams. The Leafs don't like the Bruins. I'm sure the Panthers don't like the Bruins right now. Like, they're just a very physical and feisty team, and you're going to get people that don't like them. So that's why I don't like the Bruins. Binnington giving up 5 goals on 9 shots in Austria is just wild. That was another thing. I sent you that tweet yesterday. The World Championships is going on right now. For people who aren't familiar, they do a World Championships every year for teams that are out of the playoffs or teams that have been eliminated. So they do kind of like a mini World Cup, which I've always loved. Like, I think that's such a good idea, because like there's players I'm sure who are healthy and they just want to keep playing, and why not go and see how things, turn out. And so Binnington, who's the starter for the St. Louis Blues, he played like crap yesterday, letting in 5 goals on 9 shots. Like, like Canada should be good. Like, I think Bedard's playing for them. Like, they have some good talent. They should be favored to win it all, is my understanding. Could be wrong about that. But, and this is the thing that is going to be scary. When I think it's the World Cup is next for hockey, as far as like international competition, like the one where all the NHL players will play. Who the hell is going to be Canada's starter? They don't have any good goalies. Like, even I saw people have Stuart Skinner on their list. There's no way he's on that list with how he's been playing with the Oilers in this playoffs. It's going to be crazy. I noticed an unfortunate trend in Discord. Everyone else's sadness is my happiness. Rangers and Canucks win. You guys are happy and I'm sad. Canes and Oilers win and I'm happy and you guys aren't. Why do you like the Canes and the Oilers? I've explained my reasons for it. I don't dislike the Canes. I just think they're overhyped a lot by the media. They keep talking about how they're going to win the cup, and they just have never been able to do it. I actually saw a few Canucks jerseys when I went to Six Flags on Sunday. Really? In Missouri? That's crazy. Maybe just people vacationing. I don't know. I just follow the rule of not betting on things I'm emotionally invested in. Clouds your judgment. Makes you lose money in the long run. Yeah, but you know what? The plus side is, if you win a game, if your team wins and then you win the money, it's like extra good, So I don't bet a lot. You guys know this. I do very small bets when it comes to doing all my bets and everything else. So that's my thoughts on that. Keep the questions coming, everyone. Let's look ahead to tomorrow night's games. We've already recapped everything that's happened here already. So I mentioned it there, the Avalanche and the Stars. The Stars can close it out tomorrow night. They are at home. The Avalanche, like I said, let's talk about this Nichushkin thing. So Nichushkin, 6-month suspension. We'll read the story here. So he's been removed from Colorado's practice facility. So last year, there was an issue with him and a girl during the Seattle series, if you remember. I don't know if they'll mention it here in the article. Nikushin was suspended for at least 6 months without pay Monday night and placed on stage 3 of the league's player assistant program. The National Hockey League and National Hockey League's player associations announced the news about an hour before the start of the Avalanche's 5-1 loss. See, that's the concerning thing for me about the Avs, is that it's not even like they lost. They got blown out like 5-1. Like, that's when you're having losses like that, that's when you got to start hitting the panic button. Coach Jared Bednar refused to blame the loss on Nikushin. He'll miss the postseason. Here we go. Details of Nikushin's struggles have not been disclosed. In a first-round playoff series last spring in Seattle, he abruptly left the team and missed the final 5 games of the postseason as the Avalanche lost the series 4-3. So there was an issue with him and some girl. Let me just find the article. Not that we want to dig into personal lives, but I want to give some context to people who might not be familiar with this. Valerie Nichushkin, Seattle. Women emerged from a 911 call. Let's see if I can block this. Come on, CBS Sports. I just want to read the article. An audio call placed to report assistance for a woman that was found in a Seattle hotel room of Valerie Nikushin has been released. The woman believes she overdosed on alcohol or something got mixed in her drink. So some weird stuff going on here with Valerie Nikushin. But yeah, like, he's a good player, and it's unfortunate. He's obviously struggling. Like, even he says, Val's obviously struggling with something. Sucks for our team. We've got to turn the page. So he may never play another game for the Avalanche. Like, I think they might have the option to terminate his contract. So anyways, they're without him. He's not their best player, but he's a good player for them. So that'll suck not having him. And then there's always the question of goaltending. Like, if you look at the last game between, let's find the last game between the Stars and the Avalanche, the one where they lost 5-1. Look at it there for the Avs. You know, Georgiev didn't play terrible, but again, 29 saves, 33 shots attempted. Stars, 25 saves. You got to get more on net. You know, that's not enough. So the Avs have got to pick it up here. But here's the thing. They've got, you know, a guy like Nathan McKinnon who should be able to step up, and he got 4 shots, but he was left scoreless on the sheet. So it's very concerning there for the Avs. I think Dallas is going to get it done, and I think they're going to advance in the series, and I'm not just saying that because my boss is from Dallas. Let's look ahead tomorrow to the Rangers and the Hurricanes. Like I said, I think the Rangers are too good to not close us out. It's in Carolina. I just think the Rangers overall have the better team. They got the better goaltender. I think they will be able to close this one out. Would it shock me if Carolina won? No, but I do think that the Rangers are the better team, and I think they'll get it done. Looking ahead to the Canucks and Oilers, which is also tomorrow night. Canucks are at home. I think the Canucks will win. It's concerning the way they've been playing the last couple games, but I could be wrong about this, but I feel like every time they have like a bad game, like I think to some of the games earlier in the season, like against Philly when they look terrible, LA, they look terrible. I feel like when Tocchet has come out and really been hard on the guys, they've responded in a good way, unless there's some serious injuries that we don't know about. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of guys banged up on the team, just like every team is, but I think the Canucks make a few changes. I think some other guys step up, and I think they'll edge it out maybe by a goal or two, but I do think they get it down. Now, if the Oilers win tomorrow night, it's going to be pretty tough for Vancouver to win, in Edmonton. Although they have played, I think their road record is actually better than their home record, but I don't know. The nice thing here is, for this series for the Canucks, is it's not long travel. Like if you remember, Nashville was like an 8-hour travel experience, whereas here it's only like an hour or two. I'm actually going to Edmonton next month for a MMA card to do some commentary, so it's only like an hour flight. It's pretty reasonable. So yeah, I'm predicting the Canucks will win tomorrow. Let's hope they get it done. I have to coach ball hockey from 6 till 7, so I'll basically do that and then come back and watch the game. So looking forward to that. And like I said, I think the Panthers will take care of the Bruins. The Bruins to get it done. It was only a 1-goal game. Paul Maurice, again, a coach that has cup-winning experience. Again, I think a guy that can rile up the team and get it done. And again, I just think the Bruins are too banged up. That's what it comes down to. It's not even about goaltending. I think the goaltending is actually fairly even. I think Bobrovsky has played quite well through the series. Swayman's obviously great too, but I think the Panthers will close it out. So we'll see. We'll see if my predictions are true. Come this time next week, we'll see if Mystic Lynch here has got the predictions right. We'll see. Hockey is hockey. You need grimy goals that bounce off shin pads and whatnot. A lot of playoff goals aren't pretty. Well, of course. I mean, you look at some of the goals that the Canucks scored in this series. I mean, they've been kind of lucky, right? That Zadorov goal in game, 3? That Skinner should have had. I mean, that was a grimy, not very typical goal. Canes are my favorite team. Okay, understandable. They have some fun players, I will say that, like Jarvis, Aho. They got like a fun makeup team. And Rod Brindamore, I mean, I always liked him as a player. I think he's a pretty good coach. That's good. I feel like the media really overhypes them a lot. And they're like, this is how a team should be built, is Carolina. But then, like, their goaltending has always been suspect, I think, anyways. So that's always something that annoyed me. They never really talked about the goaltending. Which team is it most crucial they change things up for next season? That's in the playoffs now, or are you talking just in general league-wide, like if you could be more specific, that would be easier for me to answer the question. I think the Avalanche are going to be super separate today and win. What do you mean separate? And how do you think they're going to win? Let's hear that. Forgot to remind you, the Discord, but you're still thinking about doing that members Q&A? Probably not. Well, actually, let me see. Probably. You know what? Maybe. Let me know in the Discord. If I could do it, it would have to be at like 3 Eastern tomorrow. I could maybe do one for like an hour. But yeah, it's tough because like I'm leaving Friday, so I have to get a bunch of stuff done ahead of time. So we'll see if that ends up happening. Keep the questions coming, everyone. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Drouin and Lehkonen need to step up and help replace. Yeah, what's going on with Drouin? Like, that's a guy that, if you remember, what was that trade? Was it Sergachev for who? What was that trade that Montreal made to get where they acquired Drouin? And I know Drouin's had some issues outside the ice. Yeah, 29 years old. This was a guy that was taken 3rd overall in 2013. It was it was Sergachev, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it was Sergachev. Man, Canadians would have liked that one back. Yeah, and then obviously signed with Colorado as a free agent, I think, right? Was the idea, I think? Yeah, it was a free agent. Yeah, I mean, again, a guy who's a 3rd overall pick should not be playing this bad and having this many issues. So he's the guy that has potential to step it up. Lehkonen, I agree as well. I meant desperate. Oh, gotcha. Think the Avalanche are going to be super desperate and win. But the thing is, like, I don't know, Dallas, like they get it done, man. I mean, this is a Dallas team as well that was down in that Vegas series and was able to come back. All teams, not just the playoffs. So who needs to make major changes next season? Well, the obvious one is the Leafs. I mean, I think you are going to see big changes. They fired the coach. We'll see who they bring in. They're talking Todd McLellan. It's like, really? I would get Craig Berube, I think. I think Berube is the guy you want in there. McClellan's a decent coach, but I just think with that team, you need something with a little bit more punch. I think the Leafs have got to trade I think Marner's the guy that's got to go for Toronto. So that's a team that needs to make a big change. I think the Ottawa Senators are a team that needs to make a couple big moves as well. They are not really the team that, they were expected to make the playoffs this year and they haven't really made a step forward. They're a team that I think needs to make some moves. This is just off the top of my head. And then I'd say teams right now. If Edmonton, regardless, I think even if Edmonton wins this series, I don't think they're going to get past Dallas or Colorado if Colorado somehow comes back and does it. And I think the Oilers might have to make some big moves because, look, Draisaitl's going to be coming up to a contract extension. They're going to have to make some moves. They are in a bit of cap trouble, right? Because they still have Jack Campbell on the books. He's not even playing for them right now. So, yeah, I think that I think the Oilers could be another team that might have to make some changes because, like, McDavid's not going to stick around, I don't think, if they can't even get to the finals. Like, that's the expectation for them. That's why with the Canucks, like, I still think they have hope because they really have nothing to lose. Like, they could lose the rest of their games in the series, and I don't think fans would consider the season a disappointment. We were barely supposed to make the playoffs this year, and the fact that they've even made it to the second round and have won at least 2 games in the series against the Oilers, very impressive. And a lot of promise for this team next season. The only issue, and speaking of teams that might have to make some changes, like the Canucks have a ton of unrestricted free agents next season. This team could look completely different next year. I would hope management can somehow convince a lot of these guys to either take a pay cut or just be like, look, we got something good here. There's potential here. We got good goaltending. We've got some good, solid foundational pieces here. Like, take a discount or help us out with the cap a little bit. But, I expect a few guys to be gone. But, man, I really hope the Canucks re-signs Zadorov. Like, they don't need him because he's a left shot defenseman, right? They have enough of those guys. But I would look long and hard with the way he's played this playoffs as like even like a locker room guy. I would want to bring Zadorov back as long as it's on a decent contract. Hronik's a guy where, I don't know, maybe you look at something else, but the problem with you getting rid of Hronik is I don't think you're going to get someone that's going to be better than him. But I also don't think he's worth $8 million, so it's kind of a tough situation. We'll see. No, I think we'll do the members Q&A tomorrow. Just send a message to me right now in the Discord, and we'll maybe do it tomorrow at 3 Eastern if that works for you guys. Leon might get traded. I'm going to be honest. Their cap situation is horrible. I don't think they'll trade him. Like, to me, if you trade Leon, you might as well trade McDavid as well. Like, and just do a full rebuild, you know? Because I think it's unless you could get like a decent return for Leon, where you could get someone that's like similar to him, like skill wise, but not as good. And then a couple like picks just to bring down the cap hit a bit. But I don't even know what that would look like. Like, is there a player that's on the come up that's at a cheap cap hit right now? I'm just trying to think. Like, there's no one that really comes to mind. So we'll see. But yeah, I guess, yeah, mind you saying that. I just said it out loud. Like, I can't believe I just said that. There's no way they're trading McDavid. I think if anything, McDavid might say, I'm out of here. Like, I'm going to go try something else. Dude wants to win a cup. Don't blame him. You know, and it just doesn't look like that's going to happen for him in Edmonton. Like, I'm going to maintain this. If even if they get past this round, is there any way you see like Jim Matheson, who writes for the Oilers, he's like an old school Oilers guy. He was like insinuating that like, oh, maybe Calvin Pickard could go on the run that Seelovs is on. Like, I just don't see it. The guy's an AHL goaltender. He's been on how many teams, Calvin Pickard? Let me even look at who he's played for. He was with the Leafs at one point. Like, he's decent, but I don't see him having like a lights out performance. Look at the teams he's played for. I actually forgot about some of these. He has played for Edmonton, Colorado, Toronto, Philly, Coyotes, Red Wings, and the Vienna Capitals, which is in the ice hockey in Vienna. So he's been around everywhere, and he's 32. What you see is what you get. He's not going to do this like crazy run, and I don't think Skinner's going to turn it around either. So, yeah, like I just think that's where the Oilers will not win a cup. I don't think. Like, I don't see them doing it. You need decent goaltending. Like last year with Vegas, Adin Hill came out of nowhere, played great, but I think we know now that Adin Hill, it's not like a Vezina candidate. You know, like he's not a top flight goaltender. I don't think that's the reason they lost the series. I just think Vegas had been off all season. That's why they lost to Dallas. But you need goaltenders to go far. Jake Ottinger, that's why I said this from the start of the playoffs. My Stanley Cup final, my Stanley Cup pick was Dallas because they got Jake Ottinger. And yeah, he's had some stumbles along the way, but he's been a big reason they've been winning games. And I think the same for the Rangers with Shesterkin, right? Like, he's lights out too. So you need good goaltending to win a cup, in my opinion. You can't get it done with just a couple superstars, and you can't outscore your problem, so to speak. Keep the questions coming, everyone. Again, since we're at the halfway mark, we'll go and circle back on some of the games from last night. So again, if you missed it, Boston Bruins beating the Florida Panthers. Panthers unable to close the series out. You see there 2 goals for the Bruins in 2 periods, and that was all they needed. Very surprising from the Panthers, who, if you look at most of their series, let's get them up here. They have been getting a lot of offense, right? Look at the Lightning series, 6 goals there, 3 goals here, 5 goals there. So to only get 1 goal last night, that's not good. That to me says not a lot of urgency from their top players. Where was Reinhart? I mean, Reinhart gets the goal, but where's Tkachuk? Where's Ekblad? Like, where are these guys when it comes? I mean, look at the shots. Reinhart had 8 shots last night. Look at everyone else. Next to nothing. Carter Verhaeghe got 4. I'll give him that. But Tarasenko, come on, man. O's on the shot count. That's not good. They need guys like that to step up a bit. So again, I think the Panthers will close it out, but last night, not so good. The Canucks game, again. Canucks taking an early penalty. Where have we seen this before? That happened in game 1 too. They get a penalty, the Oilers score. I think that's happened in almost every game. They get a penalty early. So the Canucks have got to stay out of the box because it's almost guaranteed the Edmonton's going to score if they get a penalty. So they got to cut that out. They got to get more urgency in the offensive zone. Like they did this thing in game 3, which they ended up winning, where they're trying to protect the lead. They did that in game 2 and it cost them. That's when the Oilers came on strong in the third and they scored in overtime. They can't do that. You can't protect the lead. You have to try and get some offense there when there's plenty of time left on the clock. So that's what I say for the Canucks. Again, I'll say it one more time. Pettersson's got to step up. Hoaglander's got to step up, assuming he gets back in. You need guys not to take stupid penalties. You need Miller to have a good game. Dakota Joshua, I'd like to see a little bit more. And they got to be more physical. I don't know if we can, let me find out, let me find some more advanced stats here. Hit counter Oilers Canucks. Let's see. Need some stats, game recaps. I want to see where we can get some actual stats, or maybe we're not going to get it. Because like on Google, they have obviously like the shots on goal and all that stuff, but I want to see the amount of hits because I feel like they didn't hit that much as they're used to, the Canucks. So yeah, shots, goals, points. Let's go Canucks stats. Keep the questions coming, everyone. Yeah, they don't even have hits on here. What's going on? If anyone knows where I can find hits, let me know because I can't find it so far. I can find penalty minutes, find everything else, but let's even go to NHL.com. Maybe they'll have it here. Stats. There we go. NHL.com's got to have some stats here. Skaters. Let's go. Teams. Here we go. I think we're going to have hits here. Yeah, no hits. You guys know where I can find hits, that would be great. But I feel like the Canucks didn't hit enough that last game. So, again, guys got to step up. Oilers, you know, again, they're getting help from their top guys. Like, look at the stat sheet here. I mean, Kane did get an assist here, and McDavid did have 4 shots, but Bouchard and Draisaitl, big one. But like I said, I'm going to maintain that the Canucks win tomorrow night, so we'll go with that. Looking ahead, the Rangers and the Hurricanes. Why did they, just out of curiosity, why did they get an extra day? Is it because of the travel? Because they played Monday and now they're playing Thursday. I don't know why that is. Maybe is there something else going on at Carolina? And I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, I think the Rangers will close it out. Like I said, I think they're the better team. And I think Carolina, you know, like who was even in net for that last game? Didn't they have their backup in net for that game that they won? Oh, no, they had Anderson in net. Oh, okay, so they went back to Anderson. Okay, that's interesting. So, yeah, again, Anderson didn't get much action. But like I said, if the Rangers can turn it on, I think they go and end up winning this. I saw something that said the 2011 Canucks were the best team in hockey. Was that true? And what made them so good? Yeah, I mean, they really were. They were one of the, I mean, they won the President's Trophy that year, right? If I'm not mistaken. And they had, I mean, who did they, let's go look at that roster. Let's go down memory lane for all you people who aren't familiar. Hockey DB, Vancouver Canucks. Love Hockey DB, by the way. I've spent many hours going through and looking at old rosters. Vancouver Canucks. No, Vancouver. Okay, 2000. I think it was it 11 or 12 or 11? Yeah, here we go. 2010, 2011. Look at this team. Daniel and Henrik Sedin, 2 of the best Canucks players of all time. Played on the same line together. They were awesome. Look at that. 104 points for Daniel, 94 for Henrik. Ryan Kessler, who single-handedly won the Nashville series for the Canucks, played lights out. Reminds me a lot of JT Miller. Physical guy, get some good scoring. Mikkel Samuelsson, great pickup they got from Detroit, or I think he was a free agent. Again, 50 points, played great for them, very good. Christian Ehrhoff, one of the best trades in Canucks history. Patrick White, you guys don't know who that name is, but Patrick White was a prospect for the Canucks. I think the Sharks were in like cap issue problems, so they got Christian Ehrhoff from him for like next to nothing. That was great. Alex Burrows, an unsigned free agent, they got him, who was playing in, I think, the East Coast Hockey League or like a roller hockey league. He was like a great player for them who's on like a very cheap contract. Burrows was awesome. I know people don't like him. He was kind of like our Brad Marchand, but he was clutch for them too. Mason Raymond, who was great, unfortunately got injured in the finals. Edler was a solid defenseman they had as well. Manny Malhotra was winning a ton of faceoffs. Rafi Torres, super rough and tough guy. Went a little bit overboard sometimes, but he was like the sort of the sandpaper on the team. He's like the equivalent of like having Dakota Joshua on our team this time. Yannick Hansen, good penalty killer, good third line guy. Dan Hamhuis, solid defenseman. Kevin Bieksa, my favorite Canuck of all time, one of my favorites, was great. I didn't even realize Jeff Tambellini was on that team. That's crazy. Tanner Glass, another physical guy. Sammy Salo, great. Keith Ballard did nothing. Keith Ballard was like one of the worst trades the Canucks made. Who did they trade to get Ballard? Was it, go back and look in memory lane. I think it was like a first round pick and something. It was just a disaster trade that just didn't work out. Alan Vigneault did not like him. Ballard was traded to the Canucks along with Victor Orestovich for Grabner, Steve Bernier, and Vancouver's first round pick. So the first round pick was really the big one. Grabner never panned out really. And Bernier, yeah, he was expendable. He was a guy that they had got in, I think they signed him as an R or something like that. Chris Higgins was good. They just had like, if you look at all these players, like they were all very, okay, hold on. This is wrong actually. Because they have Peter Schaefer listed on here. I think, they must be like during the season. I think Schaefer was on that team. Didn't they make that trade that season? Schaefer for Salo? It's kind of weird. Max Leperriere. Actually, Leperriere was more like Dakota Joshua. Yeah, they just had like this entire team had like role players in every specific role. Chris Tanev, that was his rookie season, I think. Played great. So yeah, they just had a really, really sharp team. Have you been watching the IHWF World Championships? Zach Werenski looks absolutely phenomenal. Had 57 points this year while missing 15 games playing for Blue Jackets. If healthy, he's a top 5 D-man. Well, to be fair, the European ice is a bit different, right? It's wider, so it's a little bit different than what we're used to in North America. But yeah, I mean that's very encouraging. I think he is a good defenseman. He did, like you said, he missed a lot for the Blue Jackets, but I think he's very good. Yeah, I mean he's looked awesome. Haven't looked into why Kochekov hasn't been starting for the Canes. From what I saw in the regular season, the guy has high potential when he's locked in. Well, Anderson's the vet. That's why. And Frederick Anderson's been on, played for what? Anaheim, Toronto. Who else has Frederick Anderson played for? He is their starter. So that's why he is getting the starts for the Canes over some of these other guys. Yeah, played for the Ducks and played for the Leafs as well. Werenski has been beginning to take over games. That's awesome. Inconsistency. Oh, by the goaltending for the Canes? Is that what you mean? Werenski averaged PPG last year after injuries. Yeah. Well, and speaking of, Billy was asking earlier about teams who need to make an overhaul. I think the Jackets need to make some moves, right? Like what's going on with Gaudreau? He's got to get going. That contract not looking so hot right now. You've obviously got Patrick Laine, who just, I mean, him and Dubois. Like, is there a trade that like didn't work out for either team worse than that trade? Like Dubois might get bought out by the Kings. He's playing so bad for the Kings. And then you got Laine, who just hasn't done much. Like they've been super disappointing. But you know, the thing with the Jackets, and I think we talked about this last week, is like they have some good prospects in the pipeline. Like there's some potential, right? So there's some hope. The goaltending's got to get figured out. Didn't Merzlikins play for was it Latvia? I think he's in the World Championships right now, right? I could be wrong about that. Elvis Merzlikins. He's from Latvia, isn't he? Yeah, he is Latvian. So I'm right about that. So yeah, we'll see if see what they can do next season. I expect Columbus to be a lot better. Where did Columbus go in the draft? Looking at the draft results, Sharks won the draft. Jackets are number 4, so they'll get someone decent. Yeah. What else you guys got? Keep the questions coming. Anything that's on your mind, let me know. Maybe we'll get off here a little bit earlier, but so far I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. What else is going on in NHL news right now? Again, there is some coaching stuff that we got to figure out. So yeah, everyone talking about the Oilers game last night. Chris Letang underwent surgery to repair a fractured finger. He's out 8 weeks. Chris Kreider did not skate today. Had a maintenance day. So keep an eye on him for the Rangers. That would be a big blow if he doesn't end up playing. Yeah, it's been a good playoffs though, and I'm not just saying that the Canucks are in there, but they it's been fun. Like just seeing the variety, and that's always something I like. Like I like seeing variety. Like the Knights being out, I love the Knights. I've never been like a Knights hater like some people, but I'm glad they were out because we'll get a new Cup winner this year. I like seeing some variety. I just don't want like whoever wins the Cup this year, of the remaining teams, has not won it in a long time. Like unless like if the Bruins come back, they haven't won it since 2011 was the last time they won, right? The Bruins. Stanley Cup winners. Let's look at the list. Stanley Cup champions. So yeah, let's have a look at this. Actually, let's talk here about that. So of the remaining teams, whoever wins the Cup this year is going to be a team that hasn't won it in a while. Because yeah, the Bruins last won it in 2011. The Avs, I don't think the Avs are going to win. I think the Avs are done tonight. So I'm sticking with that. But yeah, they won it in 2022. But like I said, I don't think they'll win it. So of the remaining teams, the Carolina Hurricanes have not won a Stanley Cup since 2006, right? That was the last time they won. The New York Rangers haven't won since 94. I remember that very vividly because my Canucks lost. That's that jersey up there, Pavel Bure. That was his team. The Oilers have not won since 1990, so that would be a long time. Dallas Stars have not won since 99, the whole goal in the crease, or the foot in the crease, I should say. So that's been a while. Then who am I missing here? So I mentioned Carolina, New York, Boston. Florida's never won. Florida went to the Cup final, and I think it was 96 when they played Colorado, and they just weren't competitive at all, although they did have John Van Beesbrook in net. So yeah, that's what I like. I like the fact that this year we're going to get a team that hasn't won it in a long time. And again, I'm already counting out Colorado. Maybe I'm going to come back next week and look like a fool and Colorado comes back, but I think they're done. I'm sticking to my guns with that. What do we have here? Can Ovechkin pass Gretzky as GOAT? I think you mean the goal, the goal record. You mean not the GOAT? He can pass the goal record for sure. I think it seems like a guy who keeps care of himself. I think he'll play enough seasons where he'll catch Gretzky's thing there. Or I think it's the most goals is what he's chasing. Blue Jackets have too many skilled players. There's only 6 top forward spots. We have too many players. I think there's a good chance we'll move on from them. Some of those contracts are going to be tough to move, but yeah, I agree with you. Listen, I like Columbus. Like I mentioned this before. Like I enjoy the fact that they have passionate fans and that they show up, and they've just had a lot of bad luck from drafting to just stuff happening. I wish them well. I do. I seriously mean that, Troy. Like there's certain American markets where like I appreciate the fan base. Like Vegas is another one. I like how they always show up. So I hope it works out, man. I hope they can move some contracts and make improvements. Kent Johnson, Laine, and Elvis. I would love Kent Johnson on the Canucks. Just saying. Kent Johnson from Vancouver. Be a nice cap hit. So no, Johnson's an RFA, so they have to re-sign him. Laine, I think let's go look at their cap situation. I think we did this last week too. Laine, I think, is a UFA. Is it not next year after? So Laine's not up till, when is he up? Laine. Why are they not showing Laine on here? Is he injured? Yeah, so he's not done till 26, 27. So he's got 2 more years left on his contract at 8.7. That's going to be hard to move. Kent Johnson, free UFA or RFA, so they still own his rights. I don't think they'll trade him. Merzlikins is with them till 27, 28. That's not good because he's not that great of a goaltender. Werenski's locked up. Werenski's at 9.5. Jesus. Mind you, he's 26. Like I get there's a lot of potential with him there. But yeah, he's getting more than Quinn Hughes. And then, like you guys got Fantilli. You guys got a lot of good prospects. It's fun to watch. Sorry, not even showing you guys what I'm looking at. My bad. Look at this. Cole Sillinger, also an RFA in the season. So yeah, they've got some guys that are coming off the books. Provorov, they got him at 1 more season too. So yeah, there'll be some moves there for sure. Looking forward to it. That seems to be an overrated narrative in hockey. The player has won a cup, a full team wins a cup, not a player. Well, okay, the reason they bring that up is the experience, like what it's like to overcome adversity and push hard, because that's a lot of the playoffs is mental, because everyone's injured. You have to find a way to find another gear and step up. So that's where a guy like having Ian Cole in the dressing room for the Canucks is very valuable. There aren't a lot of guys on the Canucks that have been in the playoffs or had that experience. It's very much valuable this time of year. We need a consistent third line of PK guys and left-handed right wing to play with Goudreau that can score 30 goals. You know, as a guy, like, again, you guys don't have, what's your cap space right now? You got $4 million in cap space. I'd be trying to roll out the red carpet for a guy like Getzel from who's with Carolina, because he's a UFA next season. If you get a guy like Getzel, because I think he's right wing, if I'm not mistaken, I think he would be a really good guy that you would want to have. So, he's a left winger, but I think he can play both. I think Kent Johnson could yield a great return if he were to be traded. We'll give you guys Philip Hronek. How about that? Philip Hronek for Kent Johnson. And just straight up. And then we'll get the cap savings. On the Canucks, whose contracts are up? Oh, yeah. Let's go look at the Canucks cap situation. It's not pretty. And it pains me to say this, but we're going to lose some good players, I think, in the offseason, which isn't good. That's why I think this is the year to go for it, guys. This is the year they got to win, because they're not going to have as good. So look, they have no cap space. I think does what's his name? Tucker Poolman come off the books next season? Oh God, they still got him for another season at 2.5. So Tucker Poolman, if you guys don't know, was an acquisition that was made during the Jim Benning era. He had concussion issues and hasn't played since. So he's on our LTIR and he hasn't played a game, and he's probably never going to play a game again. Then we've got this stupid Oliver Ekman-Larsson contract. 4.7 on the cap forever. The next 2 seasons, 4.7. That's going to suck. So that's basically losing a player right there. So as far as UFAs, let's go through the list. For forwards, Brock Besser's a UFA after the season. He's going to get a raise because he's playing great right now. So he's a guy that's going to get a raise. Connor Garland's got 2 more seasons. I kind of fear they're going to trade Garland because he's a cheap cap hit and he's played quite well. Lindholm's a UFA. So that'll be 4.8 off the books there. We've got McCabe for 3 more seasons. Oh God. He is not worth his money at all. That's not good. Yikes. Bluger's in the UFA. I like him. I'd like to retrain him. We still got Suter for 2 more years at 1.6. That's a complete bargain. Lafferty's a UFA, but he's replaceable. Hoglander, 2 more years, and he's an RFA. Neil Zaman, also an RFA on a cheap contract. Dakota Joshua is going to be like $3 million next season. He is definitely a bargain. Like Dakota's contract is basically going to replace Lindholm, I would think. Something like that. So yeah, a lot of UFAs here. But then on the back end, Tyler Myers. Now, they will have some savings with Myers because Myers is not going to get $6 million next season. The advantage with Myers is he's well-liked in the room. He's from Kelowna, which is in BC, so there's a school of thought that maybe he'll take a discount. I hope he does. I would sign Myers like a 1.5 contract for the next couple of years. I would do that. Hronek, 4.4. He wants 8. He's not worth 8, in my opinion. And then you got Zadorov, who's only 3.7. He's going to get a raise too. Susi, great bargain, 3.2. Love that. Ian Cole's a UFA at $3 million. I don't think he'll get a raise, but other teams could want to get him. And then you've got Mark Friedman, who's UFA, who's actually been decent. I actually like Friedman. He's been a good pickup. We actually traded Jack Rathbone for him. Rathbone was a prospect we've had for years who just hasn't panned out. And Friedman's been like a mainstay with us, so he's been quite good. And then you got Casey DeSmith, who will be off the books at 1.8. So we got Arthur Seelovs, who is an RFA next year that will probably get a raise for sure. But he's 23, so I don't know how much he'll get. But yeah, look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 UFAs. And then the year after, you've got some other guys off, UFAs like Suter and Besser. And there's some school of thought, maybe you trade Besser now with the value being as high as it is. They're going to have to make some tough decisions. But listen, I will say this. I have full faith in this management group. I think pretty much all the moves they've made have been good. Way better than our last management group. The worst management group in Canucks history was the last management group with Jim Benning and John Westbrod. Absolutely awful. Everything they did not pan out. Hey, we're going to trade Jared McCann. Didn't pan out. We're going to trade picks that just didn't pan out. The only good trade that Benning made was he traded a first round pick for JT Miller. That's the only good trade he's made. And they've had some good drafting. Pettersson, I think Demko was during the Benning era as well, and they drafted Quinn Hughes. But other than that, it's been garbage. Elvis is going to get bought out. You think so? But he's got a lot of years left on his contract. You think they'll still buy him out? I wouldn't do anything for Getzel or Reinhardt. Those guys are proven score. Is Reinhardt a UFA? Is he really? That's going to be... I don't think he's UFA. I think he's got a couple more seasons, doesn't he? No shit. Sam Reinhart's a UFA next season. Dude, he's going to get paid by some team, whether it's Florida or not. And Florida's another team that's got a cap disaster. Look at their cap space here. 31,000. And they got to re-sign Reinhart. He's probably gone then. Damn. That's a good player. It's a really good player. Look at all their UFAs. Tarasenko, who's not been playing great, actually. I don't think he's going to get much. Montour's a free agent. I mean, he's 30, but he might be a guy worth looking at. Forsling, a Canucks draft pick who friggin' they let go. That was another Benning move that didn't work out. Bobrovsky, $10 million. I mean, he's good, but $10 million for a goaltender, that's kind of crazy. That's nuts. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. I had no idea that Bennett was a free agent. Or sorry, Reinhart, not Bennett. I always get the Sams mixed up. I think Garland and Zadorov might have played themselves out of town because of their great playoff performances. Well, Garland's not a free agent. Garland's still under contract, so they can trade him. And he might actually get traded with his bargain, but they got to find a way to bring back Zadorov. He's like won the city over. He's the exact type of player you want. I don't want like an 8-year deal with him. Give him like a 3-4 year deal and make it work. But they and his agent is Dan Milstein, who he has a couple clients on the Canucks. He's got Mikheyev and I think Klimovich is another client. So we'll see. They both deserve to be paid. I agree. If every team had elite goaltending, who do you think would be the best team? That's a good question. Well, I think the Rangers are the best team. They have the elite goaltending and they have the deepest roster, I think. Or maybe Dallas. Rangers or Dallas, I think they're the deepest teams. So that's kind of my comment on that. All right, guys, let's get a couple more questions here. We'll wrap things up. We're almost at the hour. Again, appreciate to all you tuning in. I know this is not a huge viewing show. There's so many hockey shows you guys could watch, but you guys are hanging out with me, which I really appreciate. Anything on your mind? Anything coming up? Anything you're seeing in the off season? Anything you guys want to discuss? I'll get a couple more questions, then we'll get out of here. But I love doing the show, and shout out to my guy Taylor for letting me do this. I'm just blessed to be able to do a hockey show. Like, you guys know that hockey is my favorite sport. I get paid to cover MMA, but hockey, I couldn't live without hockey. I love hockey too much. Like, it's a huge obsession of mine. So there we go. Let's get one or two more questions in here, guys. Really appreciate it. What do we got here? Who's going to get the next question? We're going to do a Bueller here. Have you seen anything about the prospect Anton Saliev? He's 6'7" D-man that can play both sides and skate well. He's supposed to be a Zadorov-like player. Is this a guy that's coming up in the draft? I'm guessing he is. Let me I guess spell his name right. Anton Saliev. He is a draft. He's a guy that's supposed to go in the draft. Interesting. So Saliev, I hope I'm saying that right. Saliev is the top-rated international skater. Celebrini's the top prospect, but he's the top international one, so that's good. Interesting. Yeah, I was told, because I listen to the radio all the time, some of the draft guys they've had on said that this draft's very top-heavy. There's a couple good players, and then it's not a really strong draft this year. That's why the Canucks traded their pick. They're like, it's all good. We'll take the risk on getting Elias Lindholm, right? So we'll see there. But good last question there, Troy. And again, Troy, appreciate the support. I see you on my MMA stuff as well. You're a great dude, man. Can't thank you enough. And love the fact that you're a Blue Jackets fan, man. Like, I love hearing from other markets. It's like really, really awesome to hear and see. So that's great. We'll get Mike's question last. What's up with Pettersson? Where is he since All-Stars? Ian Cole, Tocchet are friends. Cole liability right now. Yeah, because Cole played for Pittsburgh when Tocchet was coaching there. So there's some history there. Or it was either that or Colorado. I can't remember which team Tocchet was on where Cole played there. Yeah, I don't know what's up with Pettersson. I hope if it's mental, the Canucks should spend $1 million on getting him a sports psychologist. Like, you got to figure this out. You have too much of an investment in Pettersson now with that big contract that he's got to figure it out. I kind of hope it is injuries, because to me, if it's an injury thing, then at least it makes more sense as to why he's playing the way he's playing. But if it's a mental thing, that's something that's tougher to figure out. But get the best doctor in the world to diagnose him and figure this out would be my advice. So there we go. All right, guys, awesome stream. We'll be back here next Wednesday. Hopefully some of these series will be wrapping up, so we'll have a little bit more to chat and talk about. I was thinking maybe I'll go live Thursday, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see how things go, but I think more likely I'll be back here next Wednesday. Just got too much going on this week. I'm actually going away camping this weekend, so got to get ready for that on Friday. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. This is the Fanatics View Hockey Show. If you guys have any questions that you didn't get answered, you're watching the replay of this, leave it in the comments because I will respond to comments on here. Have a great rest of your Wednesday, and I'll talk to you guys soon.